Hey everyone, the name is Kris Barocsi. Welcome to Gear Corner. Today we're checking out a brand new pedal by Beetronics. It's called the Larva. And as usual, it's going to be a complex but easy to use, beautiful and well made and creative and strangely awesome pedal by Beetronics as always, right? It's a 6-stage phaser, and when I say phaser, I mean phasers because it has 2 of them, which also can be vibratos, and it has a built-in preamp that has a gain and a master, like a volume knob, and sounds so great that you can just literally disengage the whole modulation section of the pedal and just use it as a preamp. It's cool, man. What you just heard in the intro track was my blue guitar and the clean Tone King Imperial Mark II. This is how that sounds like with the pedal bypassed. That is super clean hi-hat room. Now this is how the preamp sounds like without the modulation. It's so crazy. I mean, you can of course keep the pedal clean. You can go back with the gain and crank the master. With that you have unity volume without any saturation. So if you want to keep it clean, it's totally doable of course, but it just sounds so sweet I had to crank it. And before we get into the modulation side of the pedal, if you enjoy these videos, it would help a lot if you did all the good old YouTube-y stuff, like, you know, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, give this video a like, leave a comment below. All those things help a lot to maintain and grow a channel. You know how it is. I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you open up the description box under the video, you'll find additional infos, my signal chain, timestamps, gear links if you want to check out the Larva for yourself or want to see the rest of the rig I used, etc. You'll find all those information in there. All right, let's see what the knobs and the switches do. You have your input, output, 9-volt power socket, and 2 foot switches, 2 additional toggle switches, and a couple of knobs to twist. So bypass, which also works as a momentary switch, which is really cool. Now it's turned off. If I just stay on it, it turns on as long as I'm on it, which is really cool. Can of course also just turn on and turn off. It has some other features as well. Maybe we'll talk about it later. That's for deep diving into editing the effect. This one is a tap and also a ramp switch, which is really cool. Depending on you just tapping on it, you can change the tempo of the rate of the modulation, which you can already see here. If I tap slower, then it takes immediately my slower tempo. If I tap quick, it takes that. So that's really, really cool. Now the other feature is if I stay on it, it starts to ramp up or ramp down depending on how I've set it up. So this is going to be the morphing feature. there are two 6-stage phasers built in, and you can morph between them. You can ramp up and ramp down the rate, the depth with those two different settings. In order to set those different phasers up, you have rate 1 and depth 1. This is your first one. And then, wait, let me ramp up to the other one. You can see on the LEDs that I went from the blue one to the purple one, which indicates that I'm on this side now. And for that, I will have rate 2 and depth 2. I can set those up the way I want it, super fast, super slow, whatever I want to do. I can see it. There's an indicator that shows immediately what's up. And if I want to go back, I can ramp back down. Now I'm back on my slower setting, rate 1 and depth 1. This one is the ramp knob that allows me to choose a really quick ramp speed or a really long one. It's still going, it's still going, it's still going, and now it's there. So yeah, this is the two end settings basically. And then with this little toggle, you can decide if you want to just ramp up and then ramp down, just one direction. In this middle setting, it morphs over to the other and comes back. The direction is given, like if I'm on phaser 2, and I do this, then it ramps to 1 and goes back to 2. If I start ramping from phaser 1, then it goes back to phaser 1 in this setting, okay? And then the third one is that it ramps up and jumps back down. Again, it works in both directions. Right now I'm on phaser 1. If I ramp up, it goes up to phaser 2, and when I let it go, it jumps back to phaser 1. So these are the three modes, the three shapes of ramping that you can set up. Then on the other side, you have the resonance of the modulation. If you crank this, you'll have a very aggressive, noticeable modulation. If you keep that low, it just stays very sweet and not as aggressive. And then this three-way mini toggle on this side gives you the option of using just the preamp, which is here. We'll talk about that in a second. In the middle section, you have the phaser sounds. And in the right setting, you have the vibrato sounds. With that, you have two different vibratos, vibrato 1 and vibrato 2. It has two knobs. The first one is the gain or preamp. The other one is the master or volume. You can of course keep the preamp low and the master high. With that, you have at unity volume, you have a lot of headroom. The pedal doesn't distort, there's no clipping. And you can of course mix in some dirt, or you can max out the preamp. The clipping, the sound of that preamp is mind-blowingly sweet. It's better than a lot of drive pedals that I know, which is crazy because this is not really a drive pedal. It just has the preamp built in. Let's check out some dirty sounds and dirty modulation with the Larva. These P90s are much hotter than my Strat's pickup, so I'm expecting much more dirt. This is what you've heard in the intro track. Again, was this guitar. All the crunch, all the saturation came from the Larva. My thoughts on the Larva. I mean, how can you possibly not be inspired by a pedal like this? I mean, if you're into effects, modulation effects of any sort, and you like exciting sounds and like a little bit out of the ordinary sounds that just work differently, sound different, and give you options and ways of using it that you are not familiar with, it's just a really cool mix of new features, exciting sounds, and just familiar tonal pleasure. It does give you multiple ways of using it, and none of those ways are just there to make the spec list longer, if you know what I mean. It's like all of those are legit ways of using it and good enough. It's like you remember the Zombie, same type of Beetronics pedal? That wah feature, using the left foot switch for the wah, that alone would be mind-blowing, and then that's just one of the really cool ways of using that. Now with this, I can see that same kind of creative way of using it. This is just much more reasonable in terms of how easy it is to understand what's built in and how you can tweak it. If you follow my channel, you know that I love phasers, especially 6-stage phasers, because they get closer to the Univibe kind of chewy sound. How could I possibly dislike the Larva? It's amazing. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about it. If you have any questions about it, if there's anything I missed to show you, yeah, let me know in the comments below, and see you in the next video very soon. Bye bye.